flash storage everyone can afford. And we know you want flash, right? Oh, mommy. That's the good stuff. It's the magic mojo inside all your toys. Your camera, your tablet, your phone. Here, maybe you should try a little flash. So I know you're asking yourself, why in the hell is there so much goddamn spinning disk still left in my data center? Yeah, that's what I thought you'd say. These guys are the reason. They're big storage, and they'll tell you, flash for all your storage, it's too expensive. Relax, we'll take care. Oh, no, you won't. Not this time. We figured out a better way. Capiche? Here in our performance lab, our testing shows that mixing flash and disk just can't deliver consistent latency. Now, I'm no paleontologist, but no amount of flash can get that prehistoric beast to fly with a random workload. So, how do we offer flash storage for under the cost of disk? My friends, it's all about the dedupe. Don't worry, fellas, this won't hurt a bit. We squeeze 5 to 10 times more data into the same amount of flash without compromising performance. And with all that dedupe, you're probably wondering if our latency is any good. Nah, not really. Our latency is great. And flash ain't just all about performance. In our usability lab, we rigorously test our storage so that anyone can install it and administer it. Dennis, grow my data store. So, now that Pure Storage lets you go 100% flash, what are you going to do with all that old spinning disk? I know what I'd do.
Hello. Can everybody hear me okay? All good? That video is 12 years old. It is the first video Pure uploaded onto their YouTube channel, and it's a little irreverent, a little, humorous, and it pokes fun at sort of the establishment, right? So that's 12 years ago, and it uses some questionable language as well, but it's a product of its time. At that time, at VMworld, we were launching our first product into beta, and we were announcing to the world we were going to do things very, very different. But this is not what that talk is about, or this talk is about. This talk is about how the journey of Pure Storage in South Africa actually began, and the efforts and willingness of the people that joined Pure to actually make a real difference towards, the storage market. So that was 2012, this is 2014. 2014, 2 of my ex-colleagues joined Pure and opened the doors in South Africa, opened virtual doors. There were no doors, there were no offices, and which meant that their office on a regular basis was a Caltex petrol station with the Seattle inside. So they met there every day and they had a good coffee. These 2 gentlemen were very experienced, very knowledgeable industry, stalwarts, if you want to call them that. So they're very aware of how difficult it was going to be to bring in a brand new product that was so different into the market. And they actually didn't know how difficult it would be right at the beginning. So this is their story, plus our story, and sort of the trials and tribulations that we went through to actually get this going. And I hope that you can take some of this into your own personal careers and identify that some of these struggles that we went through and some of the storytelling and evangelizing that we do on a regular basis actually happens almost every day to all of us in our day-to-day jobs, in our day-to-day life. So this is that story. So these gentlemen joined, and they quickly realized a few things. Okay, I don't know if anyone's seen this before, but this is the Dunning-Kruger graph. Okay, I thought this was a nice illustration to illustrate their journey. Everyone should be familiar with this because COVID happened. And we suddenly all developed lost uncles that became virologists overnight, right? And this sort of explains that graph. They came in, my colleagues, they came in and they came in on a high, right? Brand new company, new technology, highly differentiated. They went off, they got trained, they got to meet the founders, they got to meet the technicians, the engineers that actually were building the product. Absolutely amazing experience. You know, they went to Silicon Valley. But when they came back to South Africa, they realized that the scale of the job that they had to do, right? And they slowly started traversing down that graph because they realized day to day, you know, they've got a few partners in the country, which is great, awesome, but what do they do? How do they get in front of customers? How do they make that first breakthrough, right? So in the middle of the valley of despair, they realized a few things. And they realized that the best technology doesn't always win, okay? Very famous example, RIM and BlackBerry got killed by one product, and that was iPhone, right? People are the ones that drive adoption, not technology. Just because you build it doesn't mean people are going to adopt your technology, okay? So these three things are very well known in any sort of sales or pre-sales environment. And I actually came to realize this very early on in my career when I was in tech support. I've got a computer science degree, and I decided to go into support. But I realized almost immediately that these big vendors, they are sales organizations. They have a massive sales force, pre-sales guys, people driving technology and evangelizing technology. Whatever that technology might be, evangelizing it into the market, because the technology is not going to do it itself. Even if you believe, as a technology person, right, as an engineer, you believe that you know exactly which technology is the best in the market for whatever bracket you're talking about, it's not enough. People drive the adoption, and you can be a person that can actually help drive that adoption if you are passionate about whatever technology you're talking about. And I realized that quite early. If you build it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come, right? People are going to come over. It's not the way things work, unfortunately. There have been many technologies out there that were class-leading, best-in-class, awesome technologies that are not around today. And even in Pure's bracket of Flash, there's a few technologies that are dead today, right? Like Violin Memory, Caminario, Extreme.io, all of those guys are no longer here, and they were great technologies, right? Nothing wrong with those technologies. So what do our two intrepid entrepreneurs, what do, right? They start by trying to evangelize amongst themselves, right? They try and motivate each other, okay? They try and tell each other stories, because this is a feedback loop that everyone as a salesperson, or maybe someone that's promoting their brand as themselves inside an organization, is quite aware of. But maybe we do this subconsciously. It's not something we do consciously, but this is what's happening. This is what happens when we tell stories, right? And for them, they had to start somewhere, and they started with each other, with their partners. You evangelize. When you evangelize and get in front of people, actions result out of that evangelization, right? You come out of there, got actions, if it's a proposal, if it's a quote, whatever the case is. And those actions might reinforce your beliefs, right? You want them to reinforce your beliefs. And we go around in this circle. We go around in this circle until we get a major success, right? And a major success for these gentlemen, they landed their first customer. I think it was around 2015. And the ordering process goes well. The box comes in, it gets installed, and the customer's busy sitting down at his workstation, and he's bringing up the GUI, and he's having a look. And I'm just going to turn around because this is what it looked like for them. Problem. Why is there only 30 terabytes when I bought 100 terabytes? Right, so that's the first sort of little bump in the road, and immediately raised their blood pressure. So this customer had actually looked into the GUI and saw 30 terabytes of usable capacity, but they had bought 100. So one of our guys comes up and goes, "Mr. Customer, completely normal. Remember, we have inline data reduction. 30 terabytes times the data reduction will get you your usable capacity. And since we haven't started the migration, you know, there's no data, so there's no data reduction right now." Customer started the data reduction, started the migration, data reduction went up, and a couple of days later, 3.8 to 1, 3.8 times 30 gives you just under 120 terabytes of usable capacity. Cool. Nice little story to tell. They package it up, and they go out into the field and they carry on delivering their message and evangelizing and packaging these stories to their partners, to their customers, and to themselves, because they derive confidence out of this experience, right? Second story, a few years later, I think it was 2016, they land their first major prestigious banking customer, right? They basically took 12 racks of old storage and shrunk it down into 12 view, about a quarter of a rack. Awesome story, awesome. Technology goes in, the partner's there helping the customer with migration. Migration starts on a Friday evening, whatever it is. It's Saturday night, and they get a phone call. Frantic phone call from the partner saying, the box is down, you need to get here now. Jump in their cars, and off they go. While in their cars, their individual cars, they're in a war room on Zoom with our engineering teams, and the engineering teams are working on the issue, and they actually bring the machine up even before they get to site. Now, this is during a migration. Nothing's in production yet. The box isn't in production yet. But it's still not a great first impression for a brand new technology to come in and then it fails. What turns out happened, customer had a tool that they were using to copy across the data, and this tool clashed with sort of the data stream. So support got everything up and running, and about 1 o'clock in the morning, the migration restarted, and the boys left to home. Now, not a lot was said on the way home that evening, because in the back of their minds, they're thinking this is an existential threat to our business, right? If we cannot get this right in this customer, financial services is going to be a really tough market for us, right? Sunday rolls along, and they are waiting for the inevitable email or meeting request, and then it eventually comes. Sunday evening, meeting request from the CIO to come and see him and his infrastructure team Monday afternoon. Again, very sheepishly rock up at the customer, fearing the worst, and the customer sits them down and says, I understand technology breaks. Every single piece of technology breaks. It's how you respond to that incident that matters. And he said, these were his words, that in the 25 years that I've been in the industry, I've not seen a response as quick and as efficient and with as much skill as what you guys did with your partner and your engineering team. Please don't do it again, but I'm very happy to partner with you going forward to look after my business. So a great story in the end, lots of confidence built up, which reinforced their beliefs even more, right? Now they understand the pre-sale process, the sale process, they understand how support can work, how it works under pressure, lots and lots of confidence, right? And this is what they carry on doing, okay? And this is how they built that business until I showed up in 2017. This is an AI-generated image. The AI doesn't know how to spell CEO, not my fault, okay? So I join, and I'm a technical person, but I join a small company, and the only role for me there is in channel. I don't know anything. What do I know about channel? Okay, I've never worked in the channel. Now I have to manage channel partners. Interesting. So brand new company, brand new technology. I think I know everything, which I do not. Everyone around me knows tons more than me, has had all of these experiences in the past of building these stories and this confidence in the technology. I do not. I go through the same thing, right? I go through the same valley of despair. Okay, I just get into this mode where I do not have the confidence and the lack of doubt that I need to actually do my job, right? And it became a real problem. To the fact that if I look back today and I think about what was happening at the time, this is what was happening to me. I had huge amounts of self-doubt, and I was managing this imposter syndrome. I am not good enough. Why am I here? Why did I make this choice? And to get out of that is a very similar situation where you have to break down the macro problems that you have or the macro goals that you have, break them down slowly and start with yourself. Start evangelizing with yourself. Start building yourself up and start doing this as much as you can with as many people as you can until you generate the belief that'll push you forward to have the real confidence in front of people to actually talk with confidence about whatever you're trying to sell. If it's your own brand to inside your own company where you're trying to uplift your brand. Maybe you want to lead the next project. Maybe you want to become the next team leader. Whatever the case is, we all do this, and we all tell stories to each other. And it starts with us, starts with you as an individual. If you can't get over this, if you can't get to the belief point to reinforce what you're trying to do, you're never going to get to that point where you can sit in front of people and actually promote your brand or promote your technology. So I'm going to move on to one final story. And unfortunately, I'm a very low creative kind of person, so I have to use a car analogy, okay? Car analogies, I do apologize, but I hope you stick with me here, because it actually, I spent about 3 hours on these sets of animations instead of the content. But this should illustrate to you the breadth and the depth of the pure technology and our capabilities in the real world with real customers in South Africa. So, about 6 years ago, we took on a customer. Let's call them, they do some medical aid stuff. We did the sizing, and our sizing, as anyone knows, if you size in IT, a little bit of science, sprinkled with a little bit of art, with a pinch of creativity and a pinch of guesswork, right? Because none of us know what's going to happen next month, next year, or in 5 years' time. However, you do the sizing. That's 2018. Now, 2019 rolls around, and beginning of 2020 rolls around. What happened in the beginning of 2020? COVID happened, okay? Now, this company being in the industry that they got extremely busy. Over the next 2 years, obviously, they got extremely busy. And they actually told us, whilst we were doing this, their digital interactions increased by 60% year on year. Digital interactions increase, which means data storage needs increase, which means their entire infrastructure was put under massive pressure, right? So it's 2023, and they are running at the red line. And this is where this analogy comes in. So stick with me here if you can. The Golf GTI is traveling at about 200 kilometers an hour. Inside the Golf GTI, you've got an engine, right? 2-liter turbo. That engine is what we would refer to as a storage controller. Let's call it that, a storage controller. There are people in the car, let's call them users, and in the boot there is maybe 3 or 4 bags, 3 or 4 pieces of luggage, and inside that luggage we have clothes or whatever's inside that luggage. The luggage is the flash modules, right, or are the flash modules, let's call it that, and the clothes is the data, right. Now, if this customer had to go to let's call it a legacy storage vendor, this is how this interaction would happen. Mr. Vendor, I need to upgrade desperately. I need to desperately upgrade this platform. I really need to move to a next generation platform with more performance. I need to do 300 Ks an hour. I need to tow a bigger trailer. I've got lots more data, and I need a solution that's going to last me another 5, 6, 7, 10 years. Mr. Vendor will go, okay, I can sell you a brand new box. New box, new model, all the good stuff. And the first thing the customer asks is, well, I've got some stuff here. I've got a trailer. I've got let's call it a shelf of disks that I want to move across. Can I move across that trailer? The answer is no. Trailer's not compatible. Different tow hitch, whatever the excuse is, okay? Not compatible with the new model. You moving models, Mr. Customer, can't do that for you, okay? All right, what about my luggage, my disks, my flash modules? Can I move them across? Because they're the same. They might be NVMe, and your new model uses NVMe. Can I move them across? The answer is no. Maintenance, contracts, whatever the excuse is, you can't move your media across to the new model. So are you saying I have to buy everything brand new all over again? Yes, that's what you have to do. And that's what that looks like. Again, these are AI-generated pictures. I don't know what that is on the top left corner. I have no idea. But there's your E63. 4-liter bi-turbo V8 monster, lots more internal space, bigger boot, right? Much bigger trailer, and now it's packed with new luggage, waiting for your clothes to come across. Okay, how do I get the clothes across? Well, you have to do a storage migration, okay? Storage migration involves reading the data from your existing platform and writing it to the new platform. Reading the data is going to cause load, it's going to cause performance. It needs performance out of the existing car. The existing car is already flatlined. It's doing 200 Ks an hour. It doesn't have a lot more headroom. Okay, Mr. Customer, we can do it after hours and on weekends. But then that means that I have to put people on the ground, I have to pay overtime, I have to get them to come in on weekends in case something happens. I don't have the money or the budget or the people for that. What do I do? No problem, here's a year's worth of professional services. We can come in and do that for you. Okay? This process is going to take ages, but this is what it looks like. The bags, you have to unpack, open the bags, move the data across, and wait for this process to finish, right? And that's not the big kicker in this whole process. The big kicker in this whole process is you have to literally throw your GTI away. Everything. Your disks, your trays, your trailer, everything needs to be thrown away because that existing vendor will not give you any sort of trade-in value for your existing vehicle. That goes away. That's a 5-year investment that literally has to be thrown away into the bin. It's not a good experience. It's a terrible experience. This is how we did it. So, same platform, different conversation, very different conversation. Okay, Mr. Vendor, Pure Storage, I would like to upgrade that platform. Fantastic, we can do that for you. Do I need to replace that trailer? No, we can take the trailer. Again, AI-generated image. I don't know why everything's on fire. I don't know why there's a truck in the back, and fire truck in the back, but this is the new Pure Storage device, and immediately you can tell there's one big difference. It's not towing a trailer, because we're going to reuse everything. So what do? We just attach a secondary tow hitch to our trailer, and we start taking a bit of the load. Cool. How do we take the work from this machine or from this car? And remember, these two cars are going at 200 km an hour at the same time. Well, I can attach a secondary drivetrain, and I can do a failover, right? I do a failover, which means now I can see the trailer in the back with all of its luggage, no need to unpack anything, no need to do a data migration. And then you'll say, well, I've got some, still got some disks in the boot. Well, all we need to do is just move that luggage across one by one until we're done. We unplug everything, we remove everything, we take back the GTI, we give the customer a very sort of market fair value trade-in for their GTI. They're very happy, and they land up with a new platform that's going to, hopefully last another 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, right? Now, simplified it very much, but actually what happened is, this process took months of preparation. There are literally months of preparation between ourselves, the technical team, support, our partner on the ground. We have to get the right code levels down. We have to prepare the sand fabric for when the controllers fail over. A whole bunch of prep going, okay? And I'll never forget this because I was on these calls, and this happened in June last year, right? Over 4 weekends, because we were doing not one GTI to AMG conversion, we were doing 4 GTIs to AMG conversions. So on the first day, the first night, on a call, I'm on a Zoom call with my team, I'm on a Zoom call with support, customers on the call, partners on-prem with the customer technician. I've got support on the line, we're in an internal war room, and we hit a little bit of a hitch. We come across this error, and no one really knows what to do about it. So we end up getting hold of our engineer that actually coded all the tooling and the script for this conversion, because essentially outside of the hardware stuff that we did, the physical connection of trailer and drivetrain, this is all in software, right? This is all about telling the operating system that I have a new drivetrain and that I'm moving over to this controller. Got that sorted, moved the disks across, and by Sunday morning, new platform. No waiting a year, no data migration, no extended resources on site for over a year. We did the disk migration in a few hours, and the customer's now happy and whole again. They have a platform that can go forward. This happened 3 more times. I was on the next call just to make sure everything was fine, and in the last 2 weekends, I didn't even bother getting on the call because the process was so slick, okay? This is the pure way, okay? This is about not leaving any of our customers behind. And imagine the confidence living this story does for you as someone that works for Pure, or even better, someone that uses Pure technology, right? We have extremely loyal customers today, partly because we can do things like this, and partly because we can de-risk customers from this type of buy, migrate, rebuy every 5 years. Buy, migrate, rebuy, and that continuous cycle. So that is a really good story. Helped me, helped my team to realize some things that were obviously already new, but to do something like this in multi-petabyte arrays, it is amazing. Once you're in it and once you're doing it, no one else can do what we do. And no one else can do what we do, partly because of the people that work at Pure and the people that work inside our partners and our customers. None of this is possible, so I'm very privileged to work for an organization that allows us to learn, to experience these experiences, to go out there and talk about these experiences, and to support each other and help each other get out of that valley of despair that every single one of us feels coming into a brand new organization that's so different from everything else. So just one slide about the future. So Pure's been very good about modernizing and bringing Flash to the data center, right? Modernizing and bringing our technology to AWS, taking our Purity operating system and converting it natively into an AWS appliance, if you want to call it, that brings dedupe, snapshots, all that stuff, all that technical stuff into AWS for the purpose of giving customers more performance and saving them money on the back-end storage that AWS is billing them. We do a very similar thing with AVS and Azure, and that is part of our future, but we want to take it a step further with hyperscalers. So today, 60% of all spinning disks sold in the market in the world today are bought by 4 hyperscalers: Meta, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. Okay? Why do they keep buying spinning disks? Because they are cheap and they can get them en masse. They have the economies of scale where they can buy these disks cheaper than anyone else can buy these disks. And that is literally the only reason they buy it, because it's cheap. They have tons and petabytes and tens of petabytes of data to store for their customers. They need to store it somewhere, and spinning disk is something that they can use because it's very cost effective. We want to do, like I said, we want to do what we did in the data center on premises. We want to help hyperscalers do this as well. We want to help the adoption of Flash inside hyperscaler architectures. Now, the first time I say this to some people, they go, well, these hyperscalers have got engineering resources, hardware design teams, software design teams. Why aren't they doing it themselves? Well, it's very hard. Managing Flash at scale is extremely difficult. And if you don't want to manage Flash at scale, then you go into the market and you buy SSDs, off-the-shelf SSDs. And off-the-shelf SSDs are not cost-effective today, right? A 30 terabyte SSD today carries with it its own controller that's doing all the back-end Flash management, and it's probably carrying around 30 gigs worth of DRAM, RAM. RAM is expensive. RAM is more expensive than NAND, right? So they've done the maths, and they go, no, we are not necessarily going to do Flash for all of our workloads, but we think we have something for them. So today, we ship a 75 terabyte Flash module in volume. It's the biggest Flash module that you can get from any storage vendor today, 75 terabytes. That is 150 terabyte DFM. That will be available later this year, currently in our labs being tested. And we are high confidence that we're going to bring this device to all of our solutions. Now, imagine if a hyperscaler could also get in on this, right? That they could run these 150 terabyte DFMs in their data centers with our magic software, because obviously this DFM doesn't work if you just plug it into a PCI port. It's not going to work, or an M.2 port. It's not going to work. It's our own hardware design. We design and manufacture our own DFMs. But imagine if they could do this. How much cost they can take out of their data centers, right? How much heat, how much more reliable their data centers will be from storage failures, because let's be honest, an SSD is probably 10 times more reliable than a spinning drive, and our DFMs are probably 10 times more reliable than SSDs. So this is going to get them thinking, and it'll be interesting to see what they do, because if they start to design and do the hardware design and do the software design to do this themselves, they're already 5 to 6 years behind us already, in my opinion, that I think. So that's what we're going to do. We've built an entire subdivision of our business to help hyperscalers take portions of our technology to see if they can go and remove cost out of their data centers. And AI, everyone's talking about AI. Hyperscalers are buying GPUs like crazy. GPUs are not power, well, let's say they're power efficient for what they do, but they consume a lot of power. Now, data centers for hyperscalers have a fixed amount of power that they can take. If you take spinning drives out of there, you're taking kilowatts of power out of your data center. And you can replace this with the technology that just sips power. You're making the right moves in this AI generation, this AI world that we are in. Just reduce the cost of power, reduce the consumption of power while still providing really good performance, really good management, and reliability in your data centers. So that is the future. We look forward to it. We definitely are very excited about it. If you guys want to go and learn a little bit more about what we do on the Kubernetes side of things, and in Azure and AWS, our stand is the orange one, and we look forward to speaking to you guys. Thank you.